We are less than a week away from North Carolina joining 26 states that already have online sports betting. Since you're watching TV right now, I know you have been inundated with the ads reminding you about this. Monday, March 11th at noon is when you will be able to begin placing bets on your favorite teams. And as we've learned from commercials past, the sports books have a creative way of pulling you in.
And right now, new customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets.
This is a FanDuel commercial that ran during the Super Bowl, offering bonus bets if you put in $5. It's a common promotion with a simple intent of getting you to sign up and place that first bet. That's one way they draw you in. But the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services knows that for too many people, that can be the start of a slippery slope. Do you know anyone who's a natural redhead? Do you know anyone with green eyes? If you answered yes to either of those, you know someone who is part of only 2% of the world's population. So it's not unfathomable that you might also know someone who is or becomes a problem gambler. An estimated 2 to 3% of Americans are considered to have mild or moderate gambling problems. Gambling addiction is enough of a concern that there is an entire division of the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services dedicated to problem gambling.
We've seen a lot of growth over the past few years with our abilities to reach youth, with our abilities to reach college students, with our abilities to provide treatment, with our ability to provide peer support services.
This problem gambling program is now set to get $2 million a year from sports betting taxes to the state. This is what you see up top here. Now note that this $2 million stays at $2 million despite the projected exponential growth in revenue that the state is set to receive. On the other hand, UNC athletics departments, major events and attractions in the state, and the government are going to get a percentage of the sports betting tax revenue. See how their projected distributions go up and up and up. More and more people are at risk of getting addicted to gambling, but the funding stays the same. The National Council on Problem Gambling estimates the risk of gambling addiction grew by 30% between the years 2018 and 2021. So with the heightened exposure to gambling creating a greater risk for problem gambling, the state is making efforts with the finite resources it has to educate people as young as middle schoolers.
Middle schools and high schools are our current reach. We actively have about 40 schools and at-risk community organizations every year. Sometimes that goes down a little bit and sometimes that goes up a little bit, but that has everything to do with the amount of money that I have in my budget.
The state offers grants for schools and organizations to apply to so they can have this gambling curriculum funded. Soon they'll be offering grants to entire school systems, starting with Charlotte-Mecklenburg this year. Wooddrain tells me they are also targeting college kids, particularly college athletes, because they are particularly at risk to sports betting. And even though most people won't become problem gamblers, those who do can and do hit rock bottom. A 2022 article says disordered gambling has the highest suicide rate among all addictions, with 1 in 5 problem gamblers attempting suicide. So with this $7.5 billion sports betting industry launching here, the state will be monitoring your sports betting behavior with the help of a pioneer in gambling research out of East Carolina University. Her name is Dr. Michelle Malkin, and earlier this month, I had the chance to speak with her. Dr. Malkin, thank you for being here with me. The new program that you are leading is very research heavy. What kind of research will you be doing?
We will be doing regular prevalence studies of gambling behavior and risk among the general population as well as marginalized groups here in North Carolina to better understand what the behavior and risk is happening here as we continue to legalize new forms of gambling.
We know that sports betting is legal in 38 states. What is your biggest data-driven observation about what's happening in other parts of the country?
So what we see in other parts of the country is that as new forms of gambling is legalized, there is a rapid growth in the number of people who are engaging in gambling. So we see an increase in prevalence. What we also see is a huge increase in the number of calls to the gambling helplines in those jurisdictions. And we can anticipate that happening here as well. Since sports wagering is still fairly new, it's only been legal for a couple of years, we're starting to see in the prevalence studies that there may be an increase in gambling related harms, as well as individuals who are identified as having gambling disorder. And we do not know yet how much that will level off or decrease as that new form of gambling kind of becomes mainstream in society. But we will anticipate here in North Carolina a large increase in people seeking help for gambling.
Wow. All right. ECU professor Dr. Michelle Malkin, director of the Gambling Research and Policy Initiative. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot to consider here. WRAL also recently talked to a psychology expert about the group most prone to gambling addiction and why. Find that story along with resources to help on WRAL.com. Just search gambling.